Hello, coders. My name is Allison Apaza, and I am your instructor for this course. I just wanted to pop in and do a quick walkthrough of the class, explain a few things, and hopefully get you started in a really positive and productive way so you are able to complete this class with as little stress as possible over the next 8 weeks. A little bit about me. If you have not had me in another course here at Cowley, either in ICD or CPT, I am a certified coder. I also have a master's degree in public health and healthcare administration. I have a variety of experiences in the healthcare and social services world. Um, I've worked in international health. I have worked in mental health. And for the longest stretch in my career, I worked as the director of a facility in Andover, Kansas. I've also worked as a public health technical writer and in pharmaceuticals as well. So I've got a little bit of everything under my belt. But the thing I love to do most is to teach, and I have been an adjunct instructor for about 9 years. This is actually my first year at Cowley, but I have worked at a variety of other institutions, and I love doing it. I love teaching. So if you have not had me in another course, I'm very excited to meet you. If you have had me in another course, then you know that I do things a little bit differently from other instructors. I tend to provide a lot more supplemental resources. I pop in a lot more than maybe you are used to. And that's just my nature. So hopefully that is something that works with your learning style. And this is going to be a great collaboration for us. So this is my first time teaching this practicum course. I've taught other practicum courses at other colleges, but this is my first time teaching this practicum course at Cowley. So I wanted to give you a little bit of insight into how I've put it together and some of the things that might be a little bit different than what you have seen in other courses. Or might be different from what you were expecting if you were just reading the course description. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can talk through some of those things. And if you, at the end of this video, have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me and we can talk through those together. You can also always post in the discussion and I can answer it there for everybody if you feel like it's something that everybody might be confused by. Okay, so let me share my screen and we can jump right in. Okay. So here we are, and this is in the course content tab. It's right here in the actual course. And this is where you can see each week. Please pay attention to the due dates. The final exam is due on the 28th. That's the end of this course. That's a Thursday. Please keep that in mind. I'm not able to extend the dates on the end of the semester. So keep that in mind. But we will look at week 1. So the way that I structured this class, if you looked at the descriptions, if you kind of previewed any of that, you might have seen like there's a lot of discussion about virtual environments and applying coding skills in an office setting and things like that. And that is still relevant information. But if you were expecting maybe a mind tap component or a lot of communication practice, writing memos and things like that, that's not going to happen in this class because I am using it as an opportunity for you to improve your coding skills and understand the world of coding better. So I'm coming into this as if you are planning to be a medical coder or work in the billing and coding world. And I want to get you as much information about that experience as possible. So actually, before I look at week 1, if we go and look at the syllabus, there's a couple things on here I do need to touch on first. These are the materials for this class. So this is going to be your ICD-10, CM, not the PCS, the CPT, and the HCPCS too. So if you do not have these exact manuals, that is okay. If they're from a different publisher, that is fine. You don't necessarily have to have the Bucks if you have the AMA, if you have one from AAPC, any other publisher, that's totally fine. I would highly recommend you be using the 2022 If not, the 2021 should be sufficient, but there have been a lot of changes. So if you're planning to take your CPC national exam, you will very likely need to have the 2022. The CPT is only published by the AMA, so this is the only one you can have. Again, if you do not have the 2022, the 2021 would be the very latest I would think you should have. If you have an older edition, please reach out to me and we'll look at it together. But I would say 2021 or 2022. Same goes for HCPCS. There are multiple publishers of HCPCS. So if you do have a different publisher, that's totally fine. But it should be 2022 or 2021. If you have taken the ICD, or I'm sorry, not the ICD. Yes, the ICD course, the ICD course here at Cowley. For some of those courses, you did not have to have the CPT or the ICD. It was not required text, and so we were using a lookup site. I would highly recommend you have a physical text, not use a lookup site, because you cannot use that on the national exam. So that would be the difference. That's why I want you to have that manual. So if you do not have the manual, please procure one, ideally this week. And if you have any trouble with that, please let me know and we can kind of problem solve together. But you will need these, particularly if you are taking the national exam. I don't know of any lookup sites for CPT or HCPCS that are not paid subscriptions. So I can't recommend anything about those. I would just think physical books are really going to be necessary if you are going to be working as a coder in the near future. Okay, so let's go back and we will look at the actual content. Okay, so here we are, week 1, like I said before. You'll see each module, just like I'm sure you've seen in every other online class you've taken, has the objectives, has the instructions, and then you get down into the meat of the work. So the things I wanted to point out, I generally will post, in fact, I think in every week I'm going to be posting supplemental sources that have links primarily to YouTube videos or videos that I have made that are relevant to that week's material. So you'll see here in the first week, this is where I'm going to be posting this video that I'm making right now. And this week I have several videos, and most of these, I think with the exception of 1 or 2, are videos that I have made previously for other courses here at Cowley. And they just give you a kind of a refresher on coding if you haven't done it for a while, if it's been a minute, or if you still had some questions about it. Here's some links that might help you. If you get to the links for my YouTube page, you can go through and watch any of the videos that you want. And honestly, you can look at any videos on YouTube that you want, but some of those might be helpful. They're all arranged by year and the type of book. So it will be like the 2022 CPT. You can watch any of those videos that you want, that you find helpful. But I post the ones that I think will be most applicable to this week's work here. These, so this video that I make right now, this is going to be required. And then these videos below that I've marked as supplemental, they're not required, but they might be helpful. Moving forward in other weeks, they're almost all required. You're absolutely going to need them in order to understand the material or understand another assignment. Then we get into the actual assignments, and generally the way I've structured it, there's going to be discussion, there's going to be then 2 assignments. So for this week 1 is a little bit different than the other weeks. We have a homework assignment, which will allow you to, so that when it's marked as homework, that means you can pause it, you can go away and do something else, you can log out, and you can come back in and edit it before you submit it. If it's marked as a quiz, even if it's a practice quiz, you have to finish it in that sitting. So that's kind of the difference between a practice quiz and a homework. This homework assignment is going to be asking you to go to the AAPC website so you can get some information about the national exam and come in and kind of answer some questions. So that's what this assignment is about. But most of the time, and we'll go look at another week, there's going to be a practice quiz and there's going to be a regular quiz. The practice quiz, you'll have unlimited takes, and it just goes through a lot of shorter questions that are going to kind of mimic what you're going to see on the national exam. And then the weekly quiz is going to have 1 take, and it's going to be generally 5 case studies. So there's going to be 10 case studies on the national exams. This is really good preparation for you. Again, there's only one attempt, but if you're working through watching the videos, you are doing the practice tests, I don't think that they're going to be overwhelmingly difficult for you. So, and you will have a little bit more time to do those. So on the practice quizzes, you will have 25 minutes, or I'm sorry, 60 minutes for 25 questions. And that mimics exactly the time you'll see on the national exam. And then the weekly quizzes, you'll generally have longer than that, usually about 5 minutes per question or more. And that should be plenty if you are consistently practicing, working through problems, understand coding. That should be plenty for you. Okay. Okay. Let's go look at some of the other weeks, because I do want to kind of talk about the discussions a little bit. So we will have discussions like this. That's just a few questions. Please just respond to a peer. Really, they're just opinion. Very easy little discussions. And that's just to keep you, to kind of check in with you and make sure you are understanding what you're doing, you're feeling comfortable and confident. That's what those discussions are about. But then we can get into, we look at week 2, you will see I've marked it as CE. So in subsequent weeks, you'll see it just marked as CE for the discussion. Otherwise, but it stands for career exploration. So these are a little bit bigger assignments. They're worth more points. And usually what these are asking you to do is watch the video that I've posted and then answer some very specific questions. And the reason why this is worth more is because usually it's going to require a little bit more time. This video in particular in week 2 is very long, but it is very interesting, extremely relevant to what you'll be doing as a coder. And it's just very, very important. So that's why it's worth a little bit more. It's going to take a little bit more time. But it's really just about ensuring that you are understanding what you're going to be facing when you get into the actual field. So most of the time, it's not going to be, oh, you got this answer wrong. It's really more about, did you put in the effort? Are you working on this? Do you understand what you're getting into? So a lot of it's still going to be opinion, still going to be your personal experience. So don't worry about that. It's not another quiz. There's not really a right or wrong answer. It's more about the effort that you're putting in and demonstrating that you are grasping what it is that you're working towards. So, and then this week is very typical where there's the practice quiz. It's a variety of questions. They're really usually shorter. Can you find this diagnosis? Can you find this procedure? Things like that. Very similar to what you'll see on the national exam. All multiple choice, and you have unlimited attempts, and it will show you the correct answer generally. If it doesn't, send me an email and I'll correct it so you can see. But you usually have unlimited attempts, so you can go back, you can practice. My recommendation is when you see these practice quizzes, just get your books, go through, and attempt all of them. Do it all in one sitting. It's 25 questions. You have 60 minutes, and then see what you got wrong, and go back through and figure out why was that answer wrong. What is it that you needed to do? What was the question really asking? Because sometimes you might think it's, oh, it's asking for this. I'm going to very quickly answer it. And then when you go back and read it a little bit more carefully, you understand, oh, it was actually asking about this guideline. Since there are unlimited attempts, I would use this as much as possible. And it's marked so that your highest score is what will go into the grade book. So if you want to attempt it later and you don't want to finish all of them, that's totally fine too. Only your highest score will count, but you can use this as practice and you can really figure out what was being asked, why was this being asked, how should I have answered that, and make sure you're going through your book and looking at the guidelines to figure out what guideline was this referencing, and how do I answer it based on that guideline, because that is what the national exam is all about. That is what you need to understand as a coder. So that is how I would use these practice quizzes. Again, the main quiz is 5 questions. They are case studies. They're going to be a little bit longer. You will only have the one attempt, but you'll have 5 minutes per question. They are multiple choice. So you can look up every answer if you need to. I would recommend improving your skills in that area, and we'll work on that as we go through the class. There are going to be opportunities for you to learn some other testing skills, so you can improve your ability here in these quizzes. Okay. Um, but this is a very standard setup for each week is it's going to have a career exploration, a practice quiz, and a regular quiz. Okay. So any of those bigger discussions are going to be marked as CE, and that means they are worth more, and they're usually going to require more work. That's kind of what I wanted to walk through with you guys. And so each week you're going to have some videos here. Please make sure you're looking through them. Please make sure you're reviewing them. If things do not make sense, let me know. If you have a question, because I'm human, I make mistakes. If I marked the wrong one as correct on a quiz, that happens, especially if you've had any of my other classes, it happens. And I will look at it and I will correct any errors and we'll make sure that we've talked through any problems together, either one-on-one or as a class. And I can create a special discussion just for questions about specific coding questions if we need to have that. So that is what I wanted to kind of point out here. It is 8 weeks. They are unlocked if you do need to work ahead. That is fine. But I would just make sure that as you're working on these, as you're taking these quizzes, you are understanding the material, that it is not just blindly, oh, I got 20 out of 25. Great, move on to the next one. Why did you miss those 5? Because chances are those 5 are going to be the hardest ones, and those are going to be what you see similar issues on the national exam, and 5 questions can be a big deal on the national exam. So don't rush through, even if you have the time to, is my recommendation. Otherwise, I will be popping in and out. Please check the announcements. I make, occasional announcements, occasional videos, things like that. Drop in new resources. If we need extra practice, I can make some extra practice quizzes. That will give you some extra opportunities to try out your coding skills that won't count against your grade if we need to do those. So just kind of let me know what you need and I will be here to accommodate that as much as possible. All right. But that is kind of how I've set up this practicum. If you have concerns, questions, reach out. We'll work on it together. Okay. Otherwise, I look forward to getting to know you all and working through all of this together. And I'm really excited for you guys to get the opportunity to really dig in and prepare for your exam. And hopefully this is one of your very last steps on your way to certification and your new careers. So thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you in class. Bye-bye.